Hello everyone. So I'm back with another video on this channel, and today we are going to solve the Leetcode array problem. And the problem is valid Sudoku. So we have been given a 9x9 Sudoku board, and we need to check whether it is valid. Now the rules for validation are: each row should contain digits between 1 to 9, but without repetition. That is, no digit should be repeated in each row. Similarly, each column should have digits from 1 to 9, but they should not be repeated. That is, there should not be multiple 8 values in single column, and each 3x3 sub box of grid should also contain digits from 1 to 9, but none of the digits should be repeated. So let's just say this box here, 3 should not be repeated twice, and so on and so forth. So Sudoku board would be partially filled and it would be valid, and the field set needs to be validated according to the mentioned rule. So this is how the input is. We have been given array and a nested array within that, and we have been given the row and column values like this. So 5 would be the value in this column, which is 0 comma 0 cell. So and 9 would be at 8 comma 8 cell, and so on and so forth. So we have an array of array, and within that we have the numbers, and we need to check whether the Sudoku board is valid or not by checking whether each row contains digits from 1 to 9 without repetition. Similarly, each column should have digits from 1 to 9 without repetition, and each sub box or subgrid or subbox should also contain digits from 1 to 9 without repetition. And this is an invalid board, and as you can see, we have that 5 in the top left corner needs to be modified to 8, and since there are two 8s in the left 3x3 sub box, that is why this is not valid. So if we observe carefully, we see that there is 8 value which is occurring twice. So this is invalid value, and it needs to be replaced by something else so that it should be valid. We don't have to check whether what value needs to be replaced. We just have to check that the Sudoku board is valid or not. So with that in mind, let's start off with the solution. So what we need to do is we need to have a rows and columns set, and we need to check whether the particular element is not repeated as well. So we are going to use set. So we will first define a rows array using const rows, and this will be an array, and this will be of length 9, and we need to initialize it with a set. So we'll write as new set. If this is an unfamiliar syntax, so what we are doing is we are initializing array, and we are initializing it with a set with length 9. Similarly, we will initialize the columns. So we'll write array dot from length 9, and it needs to be a new set. Then we also need to check whether the boxes are valid or not. So we'll write the boxes array, and this will be also be an array of length 9 with each element as a set. Let's console.log these values and check what we have. So we have rows. Let's just print out rows because others are same, and then we will run the code. As you can see, we have the rows array with set, and each of the element in the array is a set. And we are going to use this set to check whether the elements are unique in particular row, column, and boxes. Now what we will do is we will iterate over the entire array or the board which we have. So we'll write for let I is equal to 0, I is less than 9 because it needs to go from 0 to 8. Then we will write another loop with j, and we will write j is equal to 0, j is less than 9, j plus plus. Let's print out the value which is present, and we'll assign it to a num. So num is equal to board element which is ij. So the element which is present in the board, we will console.log the num value and check whether we are getting the num value properly. Let's comment out rows and let's run the code. Okay, I is missing here. Now let's run the code. As you can see, we have the num values, Now we need to ignore the num value which are dot because they are empty, and we need to only consider the valid numeric values. So what we'll do is if num is not equal to dot, then we will check. So first thing that we will do is we'll assign the value to the rows. So we'll write rows of I dot set and the num value, then calls of I dot set num value. So if you are unfamiliar with the syntax, you can search with set in JavaScript. So there is a add method to add the new element. So what we can do is we can use the add method to add the numeric values. Then we have the has method to check whether the set has the values. And as you can see, set is a collection of unique values. And next thing that we'll do is we need to assign the value to boxes as well. Now, in the case of boxes, what we know is we need to check the boxes in 3x3 manner. So for that, we can use a formula, and the formula is like this. We'll write boxes of maths dot floor I divided by 3 star 3 plus maths dot floor j divided by 3, and we'll add the value here. Now if you are unfamiliar of how this formula works, so what we can do is we can print out the values and check what the values are. So we'll go with console. Okay, let's just go it outside because new value will skip. So this will be the formula. And we'll go with console.log the I value and the j value as well, so that we are clear of how this formula works. And let's run our code and check whether this is a valid formula. So as you can see, when I value is 0 and j value is 0, the box value is 0. This continues till the j value is still 2 and the box value remains 0. Then when the j value changes to 3, the box value changes to 1 till 5. Then the j value remains 2 till when the value is 6, 7, 8. Similarly, it goes on like this for the other boxes as well. So what this does is it checks whether the particular box value which is present here is valid or not, and it returns the value. So this is the value which I think will work. We will check in some time whether this is a valid value or not. Okay, so after the first iteration, then the value goes to 3, 4, 5, then 3, 4, 5 continues, then 6, 7, 8, and so on and so forth till the last value. So basically this will divide the I value and it will multiply it by 3. So initially it is set to 0 and the j value, which is 0, 1, 2, is taken. So this sub box is selected using this formula. So what we can do is now we can check if the new value is repeated or not. So we can check that if rows of I dot has new or false of j has the new value, that is if the element is repeated, or boxes of the formula which we just saw, which was maths.floor dot has new, then we'll return false. Else when the loop completes, we'll return true, stating that the Sudoku value is proper. Now let's run our code and check what value we get. So this is our output and we are getting the value as false. So we made a mistake here. Instead of I, this should be J. And now let's run our code and check whether this is valid. And as we can see, the expected value is correct. Now let's submit our code and check whether this works for all the test cases. As you can see, it is accepted. Now the tricky part here was the boxes value, because the boxes output is something which is the tricky part to figure out. We can easily figure out the calls and J values, but for boxes, the formula which is match.for I divided by 3 star 3 plus match.for J divided by 3. This is something which is tricky to figure out. So basically what we do is we first divide the I index with 3 and we multiply it by 3 when it is 0, 1 or 2. When it is 0, it is multiplied by 3 and it is returned 0, and the J value which is 1, 0, 1, 2 is returned, which is why when both are 0, the box value remains 0. When J value is again 0, 1 or 2, then J divided by 3 returns 0, which is why the box value remains 0 initially. Then it goes to 0, 1, 2, and what we do is in each iteration we first check 0, 1, 2 value, then the next value, then the next value. So in these three values, the value remains 0, 1, 2, and when the I value is 0, it remains at 0, 1, 2. When I value changes to 1, it again remains at 0, 1, 2. Similarly, at I value 2, it remains at 0, 1, 2. When I value goes to 3, then it goes to 3, 4, 5, and it iterates over the next iteration, which is 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5. And initially the I value, which is 0, 1, 2, it iterates over this sub box, then this sub box, then this sub box, and so on and so forth. So that is how the code works, and we get the sub box value and we check whether the sub box value is valid or not. So that is how this code works, and it returns the valid Sudoku in our code. So that's it from my end for today. If you found this video useful, please like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to this channel for more such informative videos in future. Thank you and have a nice day. Goodbye.